Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Elevate Your Running podcast. I have Carolyn Bollozos on today's episode. I'm so excited to have her. Welcome to the podcast, Carolyn.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, yes. I'm so excited to have this convo because we met a little over, oh my gosh, I guess it's been a year and a half ago. Right? No, less than a year. That was in
Yeah, I think it
2025. We
was,
met at Nell's
it was a year ago,
camp.
last summer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Boulder, 2025.
Yeah,
It feels like a lifetime ago for a
I know.
lot of different reasons. But we connected at Nell's running camp in Boulder in May, and you just had like such nice things to say. I think you're an incredible runner. You are working with Michelle Baxter, who is a run coach, and Michelle and I know each other from both running Indianapolis a few years ago and then connecting when she was here in Boulder, and she's been on the podcast and all the things. So I'm super excited to have this convo because I think your story is really inspiring. You not only work full time out of the home, you are also a mother, you're a wife, you're training for a BQ marathon, and you've also created this pretty cool community within your space in Eastern Michigan, like near like the suburbs of Detroit and Grosse Pointe. And I think it's just all really, really cool. Right now, I'm kind of leaning into how I want to like take the Elevate community, not just throughout the entire country, because I coach people, you know, remotely. So I have people all over the country, but also like the local team and like what I want to do with them and how I can kind of like merge the two as best as I can. So I'm really excited to have this convo. So thanks for being here.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much. I was such a fan of your podcast before, so when I got to meet you in person, I was like fangirling so hard. So
You're
I
so
love your
cute.
podcast. I love your podcast. It was awesome meeting you, and I'm like so honored to be on your show today. So thanks again for having me.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. It was so fun to meet you, and that was like such a whirlwind weekend because like I was invited to come and Boulderthon graciously like paid for me to go, and I didn't realize like I didn't really get the itinerary I think until like a few days before, and I was like,
Mm.
"Oh, okay, there's a lot here." Also
Yeah.
very fun. So I was like trying to balance work and a relationship at the time and like different things on that weekend. And it was so much fun for everything that I did get to experience with you guys. I
Yeah.
think meeting Connor Mance was the highlight.
Oh my
Talk
gosh,
about
I
fangirling.
know. Exactly. That was so fun. I can't believe Nell got Connor Mance. Like that was incredible. That the whole weekend was
Yeah.
so cathartic. Like it was so life-changing. Like I'm still in touch with all the people that we got to meet that weekend and got to really accelerate my love for running and learn so much from Nell. Like
Yeah.
it was a game changer. I had so much fun.
What do you think was like the number one takeaway from that weekend that you learned from Nell?
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's so many, but I remember doing that cadence activity where we actually literally had to count our steps. And I had never really thought consciously about my cadence before. I was just
Yeah.
like, it sort of just naturally happens. But actually putting some data behind it was awesome. I'm very data oriented, so anytime I can like
Mhm.
prove something out with numbers is very helpful. So I thought that was a really, really cool exercise. Um,
Yeah.
but overall, just like getting out of your comfort zone. I mean, we did some really tough runs. We did double days. We were out there at altitude and doing things that were really hard. So I
Yeah.
think just getting out of our comfort zone was a really awesome part. And of course, meeting all the running celebrities was incredible.
They were everywhere that weekend. One,
I
because of
know.
Boulder, and like there were so many pro athletes in town to race Boulder that weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we ran into Charlie Lawrence at Tom Watson during our like, I think that was our Saturday morning run.
Hmm.
And then we got to see Connor Mance, who was participating in the Boulder on Saturday. He then went to win it for his three-peat, which was so cool.
Yes.
But we had It was such a fun time, and I remember thinking, like, yeah, it was challenging even for, like, us locally because I think on Saturday I ran I don't know, I ended up running a long run at a pace that was, like, pretty fast for me, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, wait, I'm racing in less than 2 days." Like, this
Yeah, yeah, I know.
maybe not it, but also it's just so fun to, like,
Yeah.
just thrive on each other, right? That's kind of what we were
Yes,
doing, so, um,
absolutely.
it was
Yeah.
so, so cool.
Yeah, it was
Like,
fun.
so you lived in San Francisco, like,
Mm-hmm.
during your early, like, adulthood years. You
Yeah.
and your husband moved to Grosse Pointe, right? Like, a
Yep,
few years ago in 2022.
that's
So
right.
you reside in Michigan, which is like I'm from Michigan, so we kinda have that tie. I'm from, like, the west side of the state,
Nice.
but I have some really good friends who live, near you, and what I know to be true is that Michigan winters are all kind of the same, like we're experiencing it all together. It's been a pretty brutal winter. We're going to get to that later, but I want to talk about the running culture between San Francisco and Michigan and
Mm.
the difference between the two and kind of what your experience was in San Fran versus where you are now in Michigan.
There's such a great question, and they're so different. When I was in San Francisco, there were multiple run clubs. There were multiple triathlon clubs. That's just sort of what people did. There were so many options
Yeah.
based on your experience, where you lived in the Bay Area. There just were so many options. And when I moved back to Grosse Pointe, to my hometown, I looked around and I was like, where's the run clubs? There really weren't any. Maybe
Hmm.
one in Detroit, a couple scattered, but like a pretty long drive relative to what I'm used to.
Yeah.
So when I moved back, I just sort of planted a seed in the back of my head and I thought, you know what? Grosse Pointe needs a run club. This is how I met my husband. We met through the Golden Gate Triathlon Club, and I know how powerful it can be to build community around endurance sports, whether it's running or triathlon or something else. And it
Yeah.
just felt like a gap here in Grosse Pointe. Um, the Bay Area is also very much a 365 day a year training ground. The weather is really nice year round unless there's a wildfire or something really unusual, but for the most part you can
Yeah.
train outside year round. And in Michigan, you know, ish. It gets really, really hot and really, really cold. There's
It's tough.
extremes, and yeah, it's tough. Like this January, this is the first time I've actually trained for a spring marathon in Michigan. I've done
Oof.
spring shorter
Yeah.
races, but this is the first full marathon I've been training for. And this January and February really tested, uh, I don't know, my thick skin or lack thereof. So I guess those would be the two
That's
differences, like
really
the the run club culture and then also the weather.
For sure. I mean, it's very, very difficult to train for a spring marathon when you live in a climate that can potentially get a lot of snow. I know, like,
Yeah,
the east side of Michigan doesn't typically get as much snow as the west side because of lake effect snow coming off of Lake Michigan. But
yeah,
I think through and through, because, my parents are still there, I still have friends that live right on Lake Michigan. Like, it's been a brutal winter. And I think you really have your eyes open to, like, what training really is when you're spending so much time on the treadmill.
yeah.
And we're going to talk about that. We're going to come back to this question a little bit later on in the episode, but I want to kind of start back to the turkey trot where it started everything. Your brother
Yeah.
convinced you to run a turkey trot. What do you remember about that race that made you think, I might actually want to do this, or I might actually like to do this?
Honestly, I don't. My brother, yeah, asked me to do the turkey trot. This was back when I was like in my early 20s. I mean, I was hungover. The night before Thanksgiving is when everybody goes out and
Oh, I've been there.
parties. And I was like, wake up in the morning. Of course, the Detroit turkey trot is super early. I still have my makeup on from the night before. I'm like, my brother, what are you doing to me? This is torture. Um, but there was something inside that actually loved it. Like I loved spending time with my brother. I loved being able to see if I could beat my time from last year. I loved being able to say, okay, I did the 5K. I wonder if I could do a 10K now, and then increase that distance. Like
Yeah.
there was just something about running that lit a spark in me. And I feel like that turkey trot was really the gateway drug to Iron Man and beyond. So it was a really transformative time in my life. So I have my brother to thank for that.
And that's incredible. And I feel like we're very similar in that way. I started running too in my like early 20s. And like there is something about that desire to continue on and to see improvement and see, like, well, wait, I do kind of actually like this. How good can I be?
Yeah.
You then kind of you mentioned you kind of went into the triathlon world. How long did you participate in triathlons before you officially like moved over to marathon training? Because right now you're training for your eighth marathon, which is
Yeah.
like a lot of marathons.
Yeah, so I actually did sort of a running, then to triathlon, and then back to running thing. I've kind of come full circle. Running has always been sort of my
Mm.
true love, so to speak, ever since I was in my early 20s. Actually, tennis was my main sport growing up through my childhood, high school, and college. And then I caught the running bug after that. So I
Yeah.
went from running to triathlon back to running. So I did my first full marathon when I was, I think 25 years old out in San Francisco. Actually, it was the San Diego Rock and Roll
Wow.
Marathon and did it with Team in Training,
Ooh,
which is like
nice.
a
Really?
organization that, yeah, that helps support the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, where you raise money. It's sort of like a charity marathon. So I that's how I started, and I think I finished that race in 4 hours and 50 minutes, like almost 5 hours, basically.
Yeah.
And that really sparked an interest in me. And my brother, the one that had gotten me into the turkey trot, was doing the Chicago Marathon. So he and I actually, the next year, 2 years later, we actually ran the Chicago Marathon together in lockstep. We ran the whole way together. That was back when you could just
Oh.
sign up for marathons. I think it was 2013.
Not
And
anymore.
yeah, he and I ran that whole thing in like 4 hours and 30 minutes. So here I'm getting a little bit
Cool.
better. And then in San Francisco, I realized that while running was a big deal, cycling is a huge deal out in San Francisco in the Bay Area. It's
Hmm.
everyone That's what
Yes.
people do on the weekends. They're biking, they're cycling all around. So the best thing I ever did was buy a road bike and learned how to use it, because I got to see nooks and crannies of the Bay Area that I never would have been able to see before. And I just started training for a century ride, thinking, okay, I've got this bike, I'm gonna go do something. And also with Team in Training, trained for a century ride and raised a bunch of money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society again. And then my friend April Hill was like, Carolyn, if you just learned how to swim, you could put it all together and do a triathlon. And if you do that, then you can win a triple crown through Team in Training, and you get like a special thing. And I was like, sold. I'm going to learn how to swim. So,
Yeah.
I was not a swimmer at all. I was so humbled. I was like, oh, I can run a marathon. What could be so hard about swimming, a half a mile? And I could not. I could not swim a length of the pool at all. I mean, it was
Yeah.
bad. So I
Well, there's
started my
usually
triathlon journey very, very basic.
I love that though. And I think it's so common for triathletes to have like, a really strong like strength in one of the areas. And then
Yeah,
there's a secondary movement that's like, okay, this isn't so bad. And then there's like that third one that it's like, oh, whoa, this is like really
yeah,
tough. It's something like, if I want to get better, I really need to work on.
yeah.
Did you always see yourself as someone who wanted to chase goals and big endurance goals? Or did that kind of identity evolve over your time through running marathons with your brother, competing in triathlons, and then eventually coming back to the marathon?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something that naturally happened. I wouldn't say I was overly goal oriented as a kid or anything. I mean, I guess I played
Yeah.
tennis competitively. I was relatively ambitious, went to a good college, but I wasn't into running. I wasn't into endurance sports at all. I got into it as an adult.
Yeah.
Once I got a taste of it, I realized, oh, this is actually really fun, and it caters to my brain, I guess, in a really nice way because I am very type A and I like data and stats. And I kind of like when things have a start and an end and I can see progress. And
Oh, okay.
it's just, it just caters really well to my strengths and who I am as a person. So, but I don't think I ever realized that until I started dabbling in it. So I love it. I love the marathon now. I've come full circle. I thought I knew how to train for a marathon in those first five or six. And then once I hired Michelle, I realized I had been doing it all wrong all along, and she's been helping me course correct. So, yeah.
I have a lot of questions. Okay, so how were you training in those first 5 or 6 marathons before you and Michelle partnered together?
Um, Not well. I was doing not nearly enough running, not nearly enough
Mm-hmm.
consistency, not nearly enough fueling, and not nearly
Mm-hmm.
enough easy pace. I mean, there was no
Yeah.
such thing as an easy pace. I didn't even know what that meant until I started working with Michelle. I was not running
Yeah.
5 or 6 days a week. I was running 2 or 3, and then I would go out on the weekends on my bike because that's what everybody does in the Bay Area. And I was cross training so much, but then I didn't realize that
Oh,
actually, if you want to get better at running, like you have to run a lot.
yeah.
Cross training's fine. It's great. It's great to stay fit, but I found
Yeah.
that running 5 or 6 days a week was really the unlock for me. Plus fueling well, plus slowing down on those easy runs in so many ways. I mean, it just working with her was a total 180 for me.
Absolutely. I think it's so common. I've been there too. Like when I first started running, when I was in my like young to mid 20s, I ran everything super fast, and
Yeah.
I didn't gel or I didn't take any nutrition in, and I could also do a lot, right? I think when we're in our 20s, we can just do a lot more and we can also get
Yeah.
away with a lot. And then the older you
Yeah.
get, you realize you can't do that anymore, because you get injured, and
Yeah.
your energy levels are just lower, and you kind of have to like rein things in and be more intentional with it. You said something that was really interesting about data, and you're a data driven person, and I coach a lot of people like that. I think runners are typically a bit more type A than type B. We
Hmm.
love numbers, we love data, we love to be correct or perfect in how we show up. How have you leaned into that side of yourself, because you also work in finance?
Yeah.
So that's a very data driven profession, and also balanced understanding that like running isn't perfect. There's going to be those days that don't really like come together. There's going to be those numbers that aren't perfect. How do you kind of balance that and like be okay with it?
It's not easy, I will say.
Yeah.
But I mean, Michelle helps me a lot with that because she'll be like, okay, we're not hitting the paces at this level. We're going to adjust your paces down, for example. And this is a more appropriate
Mhm.
level for you to be training in. And that'll kind of sting for a minute, but then I'll realize, okay, yeah, she's right, and start training at a different level. But ultimately, that's rooted in data. And everything comes back to the data, but flexibility is not my strong suit. But I know that in this sport, you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible. And I will say,
Yeah.
especially as a mom to young kids,
Yeah.
my training week almost never goes perfectly. I'm often
Yeah.
swapping rest days because I wake up and I feel terrible, or I had a horrible night's sleep, or a kid was sick. Like, I'm
Yeah.
constantly sort of shifting things around and trying to be flexible with when I get my workouts in. But when I do show up for my workout, then it's game on. Like, I'm tracking those stats, my heart rate, my pace, everything, and I like to have
Yeah.
that data that I can go back and analyze, because I think that data and information is so powerful and can really help unlock
Yeah.
different ways to improve. But then outside of that, I have to be flexible in my day because I'm a mom. I no longer have full control of my day and my weeks. So it's hard.
For
It's a
sure.
yeah, but it's worth it.
It's it's definitely a balancing act I think a lot of runners struggle with and a lot of runners deal with, and it's something that like take it firsthand. If you don't like maybe like work on it when you need to, like the universe will eventually like force you into it to be flexible, or
Yes.
to be a bit less rigid or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with being that way. I think
Yeah.
there's just so much more that we can get out of the sport when we are flexible. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, you're going after your Boston qualifying time, which is a 3:35 for you, which is shocking because I'm like, you look so young. I'm like, oh, 3:35. Okay. Um, and I'm wondering, like 3:35 pace is probably like 8:10, right? For the
Mhm.
marathon?
Yeah.
3:35 is 8:10. So you're probably
Yeah.
shooting a little bit closer to 8. So you have that buffer. On those days when let's say you're practicing a marathon effort workout and you're not hitting 8 minutes per mile, let's say you're coming in at 8:15, how do you kind of navigate that? Like, how do you be okay with that? Because you are a data driven person and it's okay to
Yeah.
like shift the training around. But something
Yeah.
I see with a lot of athletes, that I coach and even myself personally, it's like, well, the training is appropriate, but maybe they're just having an off day. So it's like really hard to kind of like hit that pace on that day. And maybe it's not necessarily in marathon pace, but it might show up in half marathon pace or 10K pace. But like, how do you say, like, hey, it's okay, I'm going to stay grounded in this and like move on?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and that's happened multiple times, and that's where it's so beneficial to have a coach, someone that can kind of get me out
Yeah.
of my own head and help me course correct, because left to my own devices, I'm going to go above and beyond. I'm going to go do all of the things and I'm going to go crush myself
Same.
because that's what I do. But that's where a good
Yeah.
coach can help, like, bring you back down to earth and bring you back down to reality and say, actually, Carolyn, you're not quite there yet because you took 2 months off of your last marathon, and actually you like lost some fitness there. And it's like, oh shoot, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's right, I did take about 2 months off. Yep, okay, right, I'm not there. And it's hard to deal with that in the moment, but then you just have to remind yourself that you have to train where you are currently. You cannot be
Yeah.
training at levels that are above and beyond you, because you're going to risk injury and burnout. And I don't want
Hmm.
that. I'm so lucky that in the over 2 years that I've been in, like, 5, 6 days a week running, going after BQs, in the 2+ years I've been doing this, I have not had a single injury, not even like a niggle of any kind, like absolutely nothing,
So
because I've
good.
been very consistent, very conservative, and I have a coach who brings me back to reality when I'm trying to overshoot some of these paces.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I know that sometimes as an athlete, that can be hard when your coach is like, you're overrunning this. Can you slow down? It's kind of like, wait,
Yeah.
what? Um,
Yeah, yeah,
but
it's
you
humbling.
have a really, it's so humbling, but like you have a really good head on your shoulders about it. Like you kind of understand, like, sometimes the 2 months after the marathon is worth it to take off. And, then you can show up and yeah, maybe you're a little bit less fit, but like that fitness can come back pretty quickly if you've been training consistently. And
Yeah.
a lot of times that, off season, quote unquote, off season is a great time to like lean into other things. It was probably over the holidays because I think
Yep.
you ran Indy last year for marathon
I
number
did.
7. So we both, number 7 was Indy for both of us. And um sometimes that's the best because then your mindset's back in the game when it's time to
Hmm.
go back into training rather than stacking. I mean, I stacked 3 years of training with no breaks and, literally broke me last spring, last summer. And that's not, you can only do that for so long. So I think it's really incredible that you did that and that you also know that you'll get back there. You're
Yeah.
you're training for marathon number 8 right now.
Yep.
It's in the spring. What race are you training for? And can you kind of give us like a rundown on like the course and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So, marathon number 8, April 11th. It's in Dearborn, Michigan, which is pretty
Yeah.
close-ish to my house. So, I chose this race because number one, it's pretty flat. And for Boston
Yeah.
qualifier, I need
I
something
love
that's
that.
pretty flat. And I train in flat conditions. Grosse Pointe is a very flat place. I mean, hill is sort of a loose term around here. So I needed a flat race, something fast. And April 11th seemed like it would be pretty good weather wise. I'm looking for
Mm-hmm.
something in like the 40s or 50s weather.
For sure.
And I also love the logistics of being able to sleep in my own bed and just show up. I mean, this is a very small local race, so to be able to just have
Yeah.
no stress about anything logistics wise, sleep in my own bed,
Yeah.
30-minute drive, I'm there, parking is easy, like my nervous system appreciates the fact that I can just like show up and perform and race and not have to worry about like the overstimulation of expos and a 4 a.m. wake up call and like a, I don't know, a hotel room that's weird. I just I like
Yeah.
the simplicity of it. So I'm really excited. I'm putting it all out there. My PR is 338 that I got in Indy, and I need a sub 335. So, 4 minutes ish to just qualify. And then, of course, if I want to go for the buffer to actually race Boston, then that'll be more than that. But for now, I'm just going for the qualification, and I'm going to worry about the
Yeah.
buffer later.
I think that's super smart because like we
Yeah.
don't know how things are going to shake out and it could be enough for you to get in depending on the year and who's going and weather being a factor for so many different marathons now that like maybe fewer people are qualifying because of that. It's like so tough to know, but I really love your intentionality around this because I see runners oftentimes like want to go after these big goals. They want to have that breakthrough race, but they don't set themselves up for success with either the course that they choose or the way that they're showing up in training. They just kind of expect things to just kind of fall into place. And that doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
happen. We have to be super, super intentional with so many different things in the marathon. And it sounds like you know yourself well enough to be like, hey, a local race that's flat that maybe doesn't have a lot of cheer support, but all these other things line up
Yeah.
really matter to me more than like people screaming at me. Because I have to say, if Boston is your next race after this, it's gonna be a 180 in terms of support out there because it's like almost like too loud for certain
Yeah.
people. Or as the race goes on, it just gets louder and louder and louder. Which is so fun, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
So I love the intentionality around this so so much. um so let's talk about your training. Like what
Yeah.
has been, Michigan has had a really tough winter. I'm sure you're logging a lot of treadmill miles. What's kind of like getting you out of bed in the morning, because I'm assuming you're probably running early morning before
Yeah.
your kids are up. Yeah.
I usually the way I make this all work is I just maximize every minute that my kids are asleep. So whether that's
Yeah.
5 a.m., 6 a.m., or honestly 8 or 9 p.m., which I don't love, but those are my two
Yeah.
windows. Early morning or late night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what is maybe let's say, because it's winter and I feel like motivation is kind of low, especially if you're just like slogging miles on a treadmill. What's kind of the motivation to get you out of bed in the morning?
My goal, honestly, I'm very
Yeah,
goal oriented,
I love that.
and I've had this goal to qualify for Boston since, well, for a long time, but really when I hired Michelle in January 2024, that's when I really said, I'm going to really go for this thing. So having this big, huge, scary, audacious goal really is what gets me up in the morning. Um, and knowing that running just makes me a better person. It's what fuels my day. I have a lot of just natural energy that I need to get out. And so I know that I'm going to show up better as a mom and as a finance leader, as a wife, as a friend. If I'm up and I get my run in, it not only helps supports my goals, for Boston qualifying, but I also know that it just inherently makes me better throughout the day. But those early mornings when it's freezing
I
or
love
it's
that.
dark, it's like, oh my gosh, I questioned all my life choices when I was out there and it was like negative degrees. And I'm like, what am I even doing? This is so crazy. But then I just realized, like, this is what it takes. This is what it takes to have big goals. Like, you have to get uncomfortable.
Mhm.
You have to get out there when it's really dark or really cold, ideally with a friend if it's dark, whatever. But it was not, January and February were not easy. I ended up doing a lot of treadmill miles because um, for safety, when
Yeah.
it was really snowy and icy, I just didn't feel comfortable being out on the roads when it was that slippery. So I did a lot of treadmill miles, and I would throw on like a really good movie, or I watched the Eras tour on Disney Plus, or I just watched something
Oh, I love
really
it.
fun, like really fun and
Yeah.
engaging that would make me feel excited. Like, I put on, like, Taylor Swift had her six part documentary series, and so I would look forward to my treadmill session because I got to watch the next episode. And so that was kind of another part of my
Yeah.
motivation to get on the treadmill, was like, okay, I got to know what happens next because I was so into this documentary. So like little tips and tricks like that can help.
I love that so much. So I have a friend right now who's doing that same thing with the show Shrinking, and it's her way of getting on the treadmill on days that she can't run outside. And it's like enough of a motivation kind of carrot to get on the treadmill and make the time go by quickly. And I think, there's a lot of, I hear as a coach, like, and just being surrounded by runners basically 24/7, like there's like the type of people who are going to make excuses, and then there's going to be the type of people who make solutions and create fun and be like, this is what I get to do, let's create a lot of fun with it. And you've really
Yeah.
created some beautiful solutions on like how to show up, get up in the morning, get on the treadmill, let's make this a win. I'm either going to do some like upper body dance moves to Taylor Swift, or I'm going to be watching her and
Yeah.
her Eras Tour docuseries, which just brings so much joy. And I'm sure like the miles kind of went by a little bit faster.
Yeah.
With that, patience is kind of what I'm seeing as this like resounding kind of theme in your training. And patience is part of endurance, right? And it's part of the long game. How,
Yes.
like, what does patience really mean to you when it comes to not just maybe like the overall arching theme of all the marathons that you've run since you've started becoming this endurance athlete and running 5 6 days a week, and all of that, but what does it kind of mean to you in this season of this time in your training?
Oh my gosh, patience is everything. I mean, being a mom has taught me how to be more patient, 100%.
Yeah,
And
for
if
sure.
you want to have big, scary goals, you have to be patient. These things don't just
Yes.
happen overnight. I've been running since I was 22 or something. I'm 40 this year, and I'm still like making progress and going after this big goal. And like, another example is, I recently got my CPA, my like certified public accountant certification
Oh, wow.
license, And that took 5 years from start to finish. And that was every single day, showing up, studying, late night, early morning. And it's like that could never have happened in a year or two. It takes a long time. It takes patience, dedication, every day doing a little bit. Just like, trying to qualify for Boston, it's every day showing up and doing something and something that gets you incrementally closer to your goal. It's not going to happen overnight. I'm sorry to say.
Mhm.
These big goals take time and you have to be really patient. But I think having kids, especially, has helped me understand the importance of being patient and slowing down and actually having the bigger picture in mind.
Yeah, I really love that. And it's a message that we could just shout from the rooftops here because I think it's one of the missing pieces in runners' kind of philosophy as they go after goals. People, it's so okay to go after goals and to not reach them and to be upset, but like also staying grounded in it and knowing it's like it's an ebb and flow process. We get to be super intentional. We get to be patient as we go through it. And I know that's really tough too, because we live in a society where everything just feels like we can get instant access to it.
Yes.
Um, but one of the things too that I wanted to mention that I really loved about your approach was like the self care kind of aspect of it, of like, I need to run and I want to run. Um, for me because it's putting my oxygen mask on first before I give to all these other people. And I think that that's so beautiful. And it's something that I really want to highlight more, not just in this podcast, but just in my overall content, because I think it's so important for people who give a lot, for people who have a lot of people in their lives, that they really work and give to themselves first before they show up for others, because it can be
Yeah.
so much more rewarding for everyone when that happens versus trying to make everyone else happy and then kind of like, having a little bit of like time for yourself at the end of the day or whatever. You can just do so many more things with that.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I always say if you don't prioritize your time, somebody else will. Somebody else is going to
Totally.
take over
Yes.
that time for you.
Winning.
And you have, like, I have
Uh-huh.
to be so intentional about my boundaries, put it on the calendar, communicate it with my husband, my boss, whoever, because 24 hours a day, somebody needs me, except when I have that run on the
Hmm.
calendar and I can have that hour for myself. And I need to be very intentional and very disciplined about taking that hour because if I don't, somebody else will take it.
Yeah, I completely resonate with that and I totally get it. How has working full time and having a partner and also prioritizing running, like how has that kind of like worked and how has that balancing act kind of like looked for you within these relationships and within these, yeah, just these conversations with people? I'm sure they're like super supportive of you and want to give
Yeah.
you the best, but have you ever kind of bumped up against something where you're like, oh, this isn't necessarily working or they're not giving me what I need right now?
Honestly, I've had a lot of support. I'm very lucky.
Yes.
I live close by to my parents, and if for whatever reason I need childcare help, if my husband can't, then they're right there willing. They're not like, you shouldn't be running marathons. They're like, how can we help? My husband is
Oh,
incredibly
yeah.
supportive. Like, I'll go out for a long run early on a Saturday, before the kids wake up. And when I'm back, the house is clean, a snack board has been made. And my husband, the first thing he said to me when I came
Oh,
back on Saturday was, would you like your smoothie now or after your shower? And I was like, now, please.
that's so
It's like,
nice.
it's so sweet. And it's just it's so great knowing that I have this support and that people aren't trying to tear me down in any way. Like everybody's trying to help support these goals because they know that it's so important and this is a big dream of mine to run Boston. So I have great people in my life that do support me, and in turn I support them. Like my husband has his own goals and his own cool
Yeah.
things that he's doing, so I want to make sure that as soon as I'm back from my run, like I'm taking over with the kids and he can go do his thing, and we have this good communication and back and forth with each other. But just having that support is awesome. And honestly, if people are going to say negative things or drag me down, I probably would slowly cut them out of my life, like if they want to try to tear me down. So,
Yeah. Or like, if a work project came up and it's like, oh my
yeah,
gosh, do I run or do I like answer the email? Like
right. Which
that's like such
right.
a balancing act.
Which is why like 5
Yeah.
a.m., 6 a.m. is my jam, because any email can wait until 8 or 9 a.m. and my kids are asleep, and
Yeah.
it's like nobody really needs me at that time. So it's a pretty guilt proof way to get things in. And honestly, that's why I love running.
Yeah.
As a mom, I was a tennis player growing up, but to get back into competitive tennis right now or pickleball,
Yeah.
it would be possible, but it would also mean getting court time at noon or something when other people, like I'd rather be doing other things, or I don't know, it's harder
Yeah.
to do that during the day. When with running I can be up and out and get my workout run done super early before anybody's awake, and just a very efficient sport for moms.
It is. It can
Yeah,
be.
it can be. Right.
Yeah. I mean, theoretically, we should just be lacing up shoes and going outside for a run, but like it doesn't always work that way. But yes, I hear you. It's probably a lot easier to get it in, especially at the time of day that you're doing it, than other sports or, other things for sure. And I think what's so beautiful too is like when you have that awesome support system that you have, you're also giving back to those people too. So it's like this really beautiful balance of there's not, one side taking too much. It's this like beautiful like give and take where you're all supporting each other
Yeah.
throughout it, which is so great and so cool. Um, I want to shift the conversation into Gross Point Mother Runners, which is a community that you
Yeah.
built because when we started the conversation today, you were talking about how when you lived in San Francisco, there were groups everywhere that you could join, which was so cool and so fun. But then when you moved to Michigan, you realized, oh, it's not as easy to connect with people. How did this idea first come to life of creating this group?
It was very grassroots, honestly. I I was looking for running friends, and I happened to get connected with this woman, Megan Ford, who is now one of my dear friends. And I just messaged her. She and I had been introduced before, but I messaged her on Instagram and I was like, hey, do you want to go for a run sometime together? And she and I connected immediately, mostly over running and motherhood. We would just chit
Oh,
chat
yeah.
throughout our whole run about how are you handling this mom thing, and what about this race? And it just, the miles go by so fast when you have that connection with somebody. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. So we ended up adding, or I invited my friend Jessica to join us. And so Jessica, Megan, and I trained for the Detroit Free Press Marathon together in 2024.
Mm,
And the three of us
cool.
moms were like, okay, we're doing this. We're doing this together. We did all of our long runs together. And so that's how it started, just the three of us. And then I ended up just creating a little private Instagram chat with the three of us plus two other moms in the area. And I was like,
Yeah.
and I just on a whim called it GP Mother Runners. And I was just like, just for lack of anything, any other ideas. And it was just the five of us. This was
Yeah.
a year ago. And from five, we've just been growing organically. Someone would add a friend, and that friend would add a friend. And now we have 41 members in this group, and
That's
growing all the
incredible.
time. Yeah. Yeah. It's been really fun.
So it sounds like everyone's all in on this and everyone's
Yeah.
like, hey, if I know of someone, I'm going to bring them into the group rather than having it be kind of focused on you or you and Megan doing this together. It's like everyone is like, we're part of this. We want to share this love. We want to share this support. We want to share this community.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the fastest and easier ways for a community to grow. But like, when did you kind of have that aha moment of like, oh, whoa, this is something much bigger than just like the three, five, seven of us in this like Instagram chat?
I don't know. It slowly built up. I don't think I really
Uh huh.
realized until maybe we do Sunday run days every morning at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And we had a Sunday run day where like 9 people showed up. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was like the weather was terrible. And I was like, wow, like this many people want to show up at 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning to run in terrible weather. Like there's something to this.
Yeah,
And we have an event, we have a Sunday run day this Sunday, and we have 18 people registered for it. And we're going to
that's
have
so cool.
raffles and we're going to have a professional photographer come take some photos. Like this is this is becoming a thing, and not because I like forced it to be a thing, it just grew up to be a thing. And I'm so happy about that because there's no mom in the world who's like, I have too much support in my life. We all need more support. We all need someone who can say, yes, you can. Yes, you can train for that race. Yes, you are worthy of having goals as a mom. You are worthy to do things
Yeah,
outside of motherhood, and you can and should, and you should advocate for yourself. And so by having this group, it helps moms be seen and say, hey, we're all
so
meeting
beautiful.
here. And of course, moms are like the ultimate multitaskers. So we're getting our run in, and we're
Yeah.
getting like our social time in, and we're getting our like, coffee chat in. We're getting it all
Yes.
in. And it's such a special bond and community, and we're bonding over, you know, running and motherhood. And it's been so fun. I love it. And now some of my best friends today are through this group. So yeah, it's been really fun.
Oh my gosh. Running gives back so much, like you can get and find some of your best friends through running. I found
Yeah.
so many incredible people through running, just even over the last few years, and it's just so special. I absolutely love that you have this group and you have these like really fun activities, uh, like part of the running kind of piece to it. But what I really love is that people are showing up because they feel supported, they feel seen, they feel heard. I think that's something that all of us need more of. And, it takes a village to kind of lift everyone up too. It can't really be one person doing all of it. And it sounds like everyone's just like coming together and working together to make this special. And it sounds like the
Yeah.
Sunday run day, it's every Sunday, right? At 8
Yeah.
a.m.
Every Sunday, rain, shine, or
That's
snow, we are
incredible.
there running every Sunday.
Oh my gosh.
Even when it's -8 degrees, we're out there. So, it's been
Yeah.
really fun and the accountability too. There were some mornings where I'm like, I would never go outside and run right now if I weren't meeting my friends.
100%.
So that accountability is really special. And we all know that running is so great for your physical and mental health. And as moms, like that's what we need. We need to improve our physical and mental health. And so again, like this group is a way to help help improve that.
Absolutely. And it's such a cool thing that you're doing for sure. And I'm positive that the 41 members currently all appreciate and love everything that you and everyone else within that community is doing for them. There is kind of this nonprofit component to the group too. Can you kind of talk about that?
We're officially a nonprofit corporation, so I'm in the process of maybe getting this a 501(c)(3) so that any donations can be tax
Oh,
deductible. Right now, we're just a nonprofit corporation. It just means that, hey, look,
yeah.
we're every dollar that comes into the club is going to be reinvested, or it's going to be donated to a local charity of some sort. So it just means that, hey, look, nobody's profiting off of this. This is really community based and meant to boost the wellness, health, and local businesses in our area. So, yeah.
That's so cool. So is there a fee to join the group?
Not yet. It's still very much bankrolled
Yeah.
by me and some other members, but eventually we're going to get there. I'm working on a website right now, which will make it easier to have donations and to have a fee. But right now, everything's free. It's just sort of donation based. And eventually, again, like I've got to get some sponsors and we've got to actually figure out how to raise some money. But right now, it's again very grassroots, very organic. It just kind of comes together magically. So,
I love it.
yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I can totally relate. Like right now, I'm working with the local team on how to improve the experience on our Saturday long runs and improve the attendance and I've been talking to people and I've been talking to the group leaders and there's all these ideas and at the end of the day I'm like it really does come down to community and I don't mind working with brands or we're thinking about maybe working with like coffee shops and things to like have something for the athletes after but
Yeah.
there is so much time that can go into something like this.
Yeah.
It's wild like how much can you can really put into something like this that doesn't feel maybe, on the backside of things or on the front stage part of it, like people don't realize, but there is a lot of work that can go into it. I
Yeah.
love what you're doing though, and I love like you being all in on it and really like
Yeah.
bringing people together and it's something that you're passionate about. It's something that it still is like giving you accountability to get out there too, which I think sometimes we need, especially in the winter. Have
Absolutely.
you gotten anything what would you say is like that you are personally getting out of this group outside of accountability and outside of like support? What other thing would you kind of like put in that bucket?
I think just friendship and geeking out on the sport that I love,
Yeah.
and there's just so much. It's the highlight of my week when I get to see my friends and we get to go for runs together. There's so much. Um, I love,
Yeah.
I just love running with all kinds of people and meeting new people that come show up. I just love chatting it up with new people and understanding what their background is, what they're training for, how can we support you. I just love it all. It's been very fun.
That's so cool. I'm curious to know how you track events. Do you use an app now? Are you out of Instagram chat? How does it all work?
Oh, it's very hacked together at this point, but I'm working on it. Right now, it is all in Instagram chat. I use a poll in Instagram chat to say, okay, Sunday run day
Oh,
is
cool.
at 8 a.m. at this location. Who's in? And then it's just a poll. And then for special events, same thing. It's just a poll in Instagram chat. And then separately, I have a Google Doc. It's like a 6-page Google Doc with like all of the things about the club with upcoming events, our discounts, not sponsors yet, but volunteer
Yeah,
opportunities. I have all kinds of links. We have like a race calendar. We have a feedback form. It's all in a Google Doc, which will eventually be a website where people can just register for
that's so cool.
things from the website. But right now it's Instagram chat and Google Doc.
No, I totally get it. I mean, yeah, that's probably the biggest aspect is like all the organization behind the scenes on how to get everything like to people.
Yeah.
I think what you're doing is incredible. Like for anyone who's interested in joining because they're in your area, what's the best way to join the
Mm.
club?
The best way to find us is on Instagram at GP Mother Runners. And that is our public Instagram page. And the best thing to do is just send us a direct message on that Instagram page. And I will see it, I will get it, I will respond right away. If you just say, hey, I'm interested in either joining the club or, hey, I'm going to be in the Detroit area and would love to join, send me the location. I'm happy to do that too. So
Yeah.
just find us on Instagram.
That's amazing. I have four rapid fire questions for you before we wrap. Okay. What are you currently listening to on your runs?
You know what? yesterday I listened to the Alley on the Run show because somebody sent me a link to the podcast episode of that woman Megan who ran with Harry Styles at the Berlin Marathon. So yesterday I listened to that, but I love listening to
Yeah.
running podcasts in general.
Oh, I love that. So we have Taylor Swift eras, we have running podcasts. Um, a little sneak peek. I've been talking to Megan because she just ran Tokyo, and with Harry's new album coming out and her experience at Tokyo, she's coming on the podcast. So she gets to follow your episode. She'll be the
Oh
week after.
no
Um,
way. That's
it's
amazing.
so exciting. So if you
Wow.
have any questions, send them my way, and I'll be sure to ask her.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Okay. It's so fun. It's so fun. Favorite run gear right now?
Um, Favorite run gear. Uh, oh my gosh. I could not do what I do without my Knox gear because I run it at night
Oh
in the
yeah,
winter all the time,
yeah.
and I don't know what I would do without a Knox gear, especially with like the chest lamp. I'm hands free, I'm super visible, I'm bright. Like I could not do what I do without my Knox gear.
That's a good one for sure.
Yeah.
Favorite item you can't live without during marathon training. Now this could span throughout your entire day.
My husband? I don't
I
know.
love it. I love it. The support.
But
It's
honestly, like, I
true.
cannot do what I do without my husband's support, bar none.
Yeah,
So
for sure. I
maybe
totally, yeah, I get it.
food, other than my husband, yeah, a lot of carbs, food. I eat a lot all the time. So
You should. I mean, you're marathon training,
yeah.
right? It's like eat all the time, really. Like anytime. That's how I feel like when I'm in marathon training. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm kind of hungry. I'm just gonna eat because it's almost like why not versus like the flip
Yes.
side of it, which can get really ugly and messy. Okay, last question is favorite Taylor Swift song.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me
I
pick?
know. You
I
could do
mean,
top three. You could do top three.
I just have to go to Bad Blood because it's my daughter's
Mm,
favorite song too. And so
yes, 1989.
yeah, 1989 album is my jam because again,
Yeah,
because I rock out to it with my daughter and it's such a bonding experience for us. We dance to it, we sing the lyrics to it.
that's so cute.
She loves Taylor Swift too, and she loves Bad Blood. So I would say anything from 1989.
I love that. That's my favorite album too. I love Midnights. I love Reputation. 1989 is definitely up. It's the number one because it's so like poppy and
Yeah,
fun and it's timeless. And
it
it's all
is.
about Harry, which is like full
Yeah.
circle.
Full circle, exactly. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah, that's awesome.
um, Today was so much fun. I wish we could talk more, but I have to get going to another appointment. So I appreciate you. I adore you. I think you're incredible. I'm rooting for
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Not just in your BQ journey, but also with everything that you're doing with Gross Point Mother Runners and really giving back to the running community. I think it's so special. For anyone who's listening that wants to connect with you, where can they find you online?
So my personal Instagram account is at marathon underscore mama underscore, and that is the best place to find me.
Yay! Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Good luck here in the next, I guess, month-ish in training. So you're probably in peak week, which is like wild. You
Yeah.
probably are eating all the carbs. And
Yeah.
I'll be rooting and tracking you on race day and just like cheering you on from
Oh.
Colorado.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for
You're
having
welcome.
me. This has been so
You're welcome.
fun. I appreciate it.
You're You're the best. I appreciate you. And thanks everyone for listening. And hey, there's a heads up. We'll have Megan Howard, I believe is her last name, on the podcast next week, talking and sharing all about her Tokyo Marathon experience. And also, we'll definitely be talking about Harry. So stay tuned for that. And I'll see you all next week.